All right, so I'm here to talk about imposter syndrome. But first, a little bit about me. I'm Zach Lead on Twitter and GitHub. I blog at zachlead.com, and I work for Filament Group, which is a small design development consultancy in Boston. I also run this thing called Nebraska.js, which is a local JavaScript meetup. So if you're interested in JavaScript, I'll plug that real quick. So what is imposter syndrome? How many people actually know what it is? About 20%? Okay. So this is the definition from Wikipedia. It's people with imposter syndrome are unable to internalize their accomplishments, and they're convinced that they're frauds and do not deserve the success that they have achieved. So you may have encountered this meme. It's basically the same thing. So it takes a little bit. Look closely. There's a sheep in there. But first off, before I get too far, I should say I'm not really the most qualified person to give this talk. Bear with me. I'm not really the most qualified person speaking at this conference. No one invited me to speak. I'm not a professionally trained speaker. And I really hope no one finds out that I'm faking it. Actually, now that I think about it, I have given a few talks at conferences before. And people that I respect seem to like them. I don't know if anybody knows Scott Hanselman, but he sent me this tweet, and I thought that was pretty nice. But I'm probably more of a con artist than a public speaker. In fact, I'm probably not really qualified enough to speak at any conference. And oh my God, I definitely shouldn't have talked at those meetups that I spoke at. That was a disaster. Meetups have Q&A, and it's a lot harder to fool people during a Q&A session. And so there won't be any Q&A after this talk. To be safe, I'm just going to say right now that this is going to be the last thing I ever speak, the last place that I ever speak at. And instead, I'll probably just stick to writing blog posts, maybe about imposter syndrome. It's a little bit safer on my blog. I can read and edit and proofread and rewrite, and no one will really know that I make mistakes, like a facial tattoo. But my blog post ideas really feel kind of unoriginal and derivative. And the web is huge. And my post has to compete with the rest of the world. No one's going to read it. And there are far better writers out there. The dogs have nothing to do with the writing. I don't even know. I mean, I guess I've written a few posts that people seem to like. My personal website has had over 1.3 million page views, which seems, I guess, okay. And I've convinced almost 6,000 people to subscribe to my feed on my blog. But I'm sure I've pulled the wool over their eyes. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're reading. To be safe, I think I'm just not going to do any more speaking or blogging. Maybe I'll just stick to Twitter. Twitter's ephemeral, right? If you make a mistake on there, it really only lasts for about 20 minutes. And I guess I've posted a few good tweets. And I've convinced a few people to follow me. And I basically got my current job through Twitter. But I'm sure it's easier to fool people on Twitter. I mean, if Justin Bieber can get 45 million followers, the bar's got to be pretty low. I'm sure I'm on Twitter probation or some kind of Twitter probation. And my next tweet is surely going to get me unfollowed. In fact, it's better to keep your mouth shut and appear stupid than to open it and remove all doubt. Mark Twain, come on. He knew what he was talking about. So to be safe, I'm just not going to speak or blog or tweet. And I guess to beat imposter syndrome, I'm just going to stop participating. But that's not going to make me happy. I need to create things to feel alive. The best way to beat imposter syndrome is to participate. You need to encourage other people. You need to accept encouragement from other people. You need to share what you know. And if you want to do that in Nebraska JavaScript, you can. So what I know, this is kind of the top portion of this chart is what most people think, right? What I know is a subset of what I think other people know. But in reality, what I know shares very little with what other people know. So share what you know. And share what you don't know. Because that will remove that myth. Because imposter syndrome doesn't really go away. But if we recognize it, we can begin to deal with it. Maya Angelou, who's a very successful poet and author and like 80 billion other things she's done in her life, but she has the same problem. She's written 11 books, but each time she thinks, oh my God, they're going to find out. That's it. Thanks.